Hey everybody, what's going on? Hi my people. I'm Chef and Shade. This is Chocolate Cake 101. Yes, today is a very fun video. Yeah, I'm super excited to do this one. So I've been thinking about this for a while. I want to talk about different sections, sects, gangs, affiliates of spirituality. I have friends and lovers, and I shouldn't say lovers. I have one lover. And he'll play. So let me just say one. But I have friends and people who I love and people who I watch all the time, or just intellectual conversations where people are like, oh, if you look at the stars, you're a demon. If you do astrology, you're Luciferian. I was called Luciferian a few years ago, so it was funny. It's funny. It's not even funny. It was an honor because I actually studied Lucifer. And when you start to study the devil, like I said in my last video, you learn a lot. So it was an honor. Or just being called a witch, or if you do this, and people have this very fear perspective of life and themselves. And like I said in other videos, we were taught to keep God so separate from ourselves when all you ever had to do was go look in the mirror. So I want to do a video and talk to you guys about the different sections of spirituality. That's what we're doing today. I've looked at 12 or 13 because you got to have 13. So I have 13 different sections of spirituality that I'm going to go over. Okay. If you decide, like if you walked out of the church yesterday and said, you know what, I want to see what's going on in this community, the New Age spirituality community, then this is the video for you, because you are going to waste your time in bullshit like Twin Flame and Dark Night of the Soul and tarot cards. You can waste your time. And I'm not saying those things are time wasters. I'm saying if you don't know what I'm about to tell you, you're going to waste your time in some of these bullshit ass things, and I'm gonna save you some time, because all everyone ever is looking for God and the rules of this earth. I got you. So first I want to start off by talking to you guys about what is New Age spirituality. Spirituality is everything. It's everything. It's me, it's you, it's this tree, it's my voice, it's my energy on the way to this computer that you're looking at me on, or the phone that you're watching me on, whatever. It is this house, it's this chair, it's the air that I'm breathing, it's AI. Everything is spirituality, and spirituality is everything. You cannot escape God. Why would you even try? Now, New Age, that term, I want to say it came in like the 1940s. So right around the time of World War II, I keep talking about World War II because it's actually very relevant in all this. But right around that time, there was a spiritual revolution going on, the same one that's going on now. And how it was handled was by starting a war and putting people back in lack mentality and back in fear mentality. So if that happens again, you know what to do. But the term New Age is propaganda. It's manipulation, because everything that we are talking about today predates religion. And that's another thing that I wanted to say. Religion is a product of spirituality. It's like a baby, okay? Religion is a part of spirituality. It is not separate. So don't think that. And understand, like I said, this New Age spirituality, even just the term, is really just a commercialized way of saying mind and soul and body, all that good stuff. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to timestamp these things. I might not. But I'm going to attempt to timestamp these topics so that if you ever wanted to go back, I'm not going to go deep into it, but I'm going to get into it. And some of these things I might do a whole video on, but right now I'm just going to briefly touch base on these things for you. So if you want to go back and look at these things, you can. All right, so the 13 things that I'm going to talk about, the 12 disciplines, the 12 disciples, and then you have the 13th, okay? We're going to talk about Lightworkers. We're going to talk about science. Should I do it like this? Lightworkers. See my birthmark? Science. Astronomy/astrology. Historians. Theologists. Theology. Conspiracy theorists, one of my favorite ones. anime / the cosplay world. Black spirituality. Is that 7 or 8? Should have been 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Black spirituality. Nature religions like witchcraft, voodoo, hoodoo, santeria, witches, warlocks, that shit. We're going to talk about left-hand pathers. So I said the first thing is lightworker. Lightworker is like a light-hand path or right-hand path. And then the opposite to that is the left-hand path or dark workers. We're going to talk about belief in otherworldly systems, such as like I'm talking about like aliens or spirits, but there are groups of people who study the specific groups of beings. So there's a whole bunch of different groups of beings, and that's a whole nother class on its own. Then we're going to talk about law of assumption, law of attraction. That's brief. We're going to talk about the occult, which is going to be a little bit different from what I'm going to say with left-hand pathers. And then for the 13th discipline, that puts it all into the same thing, because it's all we're saying the same thing in just different ways. God state, which is my favorite. Now, there's a few things that I want you guys to keep in mind. It doesn't matter what part of religion or life that you're in. Everything is about mindfulness. The first law of the universe, all is mind. I've said it once. I've said it twice. I've said it chicken soup with rice. It doesn't matter if it's good, bad, right, or wrong. It matters what you think. It's not about what you do. It's about what you think about what you do. So there are a shitload of people that are in jail for things that they did not do. And there's a shitload of people who are free for things that they know they did. And the difference between the innocent people in prison and the guilty people free on the streets is what they thought about what they did. Guilt, grief, shame will screw you up. And victim mentality. I've talked about this. We don't want to have victim mentality because it puts you in a position of being a victim. So if you want to be a victim, have victim mentality. But if you don't. Also, tools of the trade. So everyone knows some things that all spiritual people are into would be like, what is this, you guys? What's it called when you have like medallion? Thank you. Medallions, crystals, tarot cards, pendulums, I don't know, like those plates that you put your food on, and it helps to balance your plate, the food, right? There's different devices that all spiritual people, it's like, it's common that these spiritual people have. These devices, again, not right, wrong, good or bad. As you guys know, I didn't dabble in tarot. I studied tarot for many years. I am a tarot reader. I say was because I haven't done it in a while, but I have a group of friends that call me up, and every time I come, I'll have to bring my cards. But all these tools are there for you, because again, all is mind. Crystals, people doing crystals and doing copper and all this stuff, while they have so much power to them, the true power is the power that you put into them. Your mind says, oh, if I do this, this is going to work. Oh, this lucky rabbit's foot is going to be the thing. And that's what works for you. Again, all is mind. So there's nothing wrong with these tools. You can use tarot cards to talk to different spirits, but you can also use your intuition. You can use crystals for protection, but if you don't believe that the crystals are going to protect you, you might as well not have them. It doesn't matter. But these tools are going to be in every form of the topics that I'm talking about today. I also want to talk to you guys, and I've said this before, a lot of things, a lot of words that I'm going to use are about semantics. Potato, Nevada, tomato, pecan. For example, the definition of a god. A lot of people, especially in our Western culture, are Christians, and they believe that God is a specific being, is Jehovah. Other people believe that God is a title like sir or boss. Some people believe that God means you have the ability to be interdimensional. Interdimensional could mean You could quantum leap in real life, but it could also mean you being able to dream, you being able to get out of the ionosphere when you die. I've talked about that in my video. It was about death, but I was talking about having enough plasma, melanin, carbon, whatever you want to call it, to leave the ionosphere. And that, to a lot of people, is the definition of being a god, because a lot of people cannot leave. So being interdimensional would be a god. So people have different definitions of God. People have definitions of what a demon is. I think half of y'all don't know what a demon is. But there's different definitions of all these different words that's going to be spaced out between time and cultures and what's going on. Did I talk about? I think I already said that religion and spirituality they're not in competition. Okay. I think I already said this. Religion is a part of spirituality. Okay, cool. So without further ado, let's start. Number 1. Lightworker. So if you were to just wake up tomorrow and decide that you wanted to be, you wanted to dabble in New Age spirituality, the first thing you're going to come across is a Lightworker. Peace on earth, goodwill to men, good vibes, peace. That is your Lightworker. This is your right-hand pather. These are your martyrs. These are the people that want everybody on earth to be living in heaven. Like, I want everyone to go to heaven. It's not logical, because in this realm, polarity exists and everything has to exist. So polarity is the law in this realm. So technically what Lightworkers are saying is, when there's an evolution and we evolve to a 4th or 5th dimension, then they want everyone, then everything will be peace on earth. But there's still going to be beings and the existence of a 3rd density where things aren't as peaceful. But that's okay, because that's not what we're talking about. So when you first come into spirituality, this is your bubblegum definition of what spirituality is. It's people doing yoga, drinking matcha lattes, wearing a crystal around their neck, meditating, breath work, going to ayahuasca retreats. And it's all fun, baby. It is all fun, but it is not, I don't want to say it's not realistic. It's just the beginning. One thing that I forgot to mention about spirituality is that a lot of people get into spirituality and immediately just their life goes, it just falls. That's because you're finding, it's like a breaking down to build back up. It's unlearning and relearning. You're finding who you are and who God is in you again. So this is normal. Like I said, this guide is to help you with that. So that's one Lightworker. After you leave that section of spirituality, you're going to get into like more sciencey stuff. So number 2, science. I think the interesting thing about science, as we all know, is science is just like religion. Science is a baby of spirituality, because science is trying to logically explain mysticism and all those things that are deemed woo-woo. See what I'm saying? So if you look up the different sections of science, I would say all of them are spiritual. Spiritual science is a very fun topic. Matter of fact, there's a YouTube channel called Spiritual Science. I have not looked at this YouTube channel in maybe a decade, other than when I was talking about it in some of my videos recently, but it is one of the funnest YouTube channels you can find. Okay, it's cartoons. They're talking about Jesus and the history of mankind and this and that and this and that, but they talk about it from a science standpoint. So when they talk about the flower of life, they talk about the star tetrahedron, They talk about the Merkaba, right? They talk about water and the essence of life. They talk about air. But they do it from a scientific standpoint. So when I say a scientific standpoint, right, a light worker is going to be like, oh, good vibes, like peace, good vibes, right? A scientist would say, well, it's really those vibes that are so good. They're really just protons. They're atoms of protons that are so small, little molecules. They're so small that you just can't see them, but they affect your energy. They are energy that affects how you feel. And some people will call that bullshit, but it's literally the same thing as having Wi-Fi and watching me right now. We don't question Wi-Fi. We don't question radiation. You know, when I'm saying radiation, I'm talking about your microwave, but I'm also talking about when you go to the doctor's office and get an MRI, or is it MRI where you stick your head and your body into that machine and you can't have all these metals because of the different energies, the science of it, right? If you are not researching science as a part of researching life in itself, you are doing a huge disservice to yourself. If nothing else, study the periodic table and understand the different elements, because there's a whole lot of different elements, made up elements, or elements that have been put together that they're using to make like clothes and things like that. And when you understand the elements more, you have more power in what you're going to do day to day. I would also say that goes into understanding how metals and things like that work in your mind. These are going to go play into common sense about like drugs, certain drugs, and certain foods that you're consuming, as well as not just metals, but different ingredients and how those ingredients were put together. It helps you have basic understanding of your everyday to-day life. We live right now in a society where if it's put in our face and if it's popularized, we assume that it's safe. But that has been a downfall. That has been a downfall. Creating a different society, that's been the downfall of a lot of people, is assuming something is safe and it wasn't. And no one reads the fine print anymore. And they assume it's safe. And the next thing you know, you have something that you don't know how to get rid of. And now, you know, that's a whole nother story. I'm going to find her. There's this chick, and I can't think of her name. There's this woman. She's on Facebook and she's on YouTube. She talks about radio waves, Morse code, Wi-Fi, and the government. It's, when she talks, I'm so like intrigued, but at the same time, it's a lot of fear mongering, because she's talking about like, what am I trying to say? Control, like human control, like cyborgs. Ooh, she talks about cyborgs. She talks about, please forgive me if I'm wrong, but I believe cyborgs are when you take the mind of someone and put it in a robot. And there's like all these companies that are being accused of this, or I don't know. But I say fearmonger because everything that I've ever said leads to bad things happen. But if you don't focus on bad things, you can control your reality. So you don't want to be in that frame of mind. So it's very good to understand what she's talking about, and it's super duper scientific and super duper intelligent. And if I find who I'm talking about, because I was looking for her and I couldn't find it, but I'll put it on the screen. She's dope and she knows what she's talking about, and she's qualified. She's qualified, you guys. Which will lead me into, so again, with science, there's different theories that lead to spirituality, neuroscience, so like Joe Dispenza, but then there's also like quantum mechanics. I'm kind of into that too. Beliefs of infinite timelines and being able to shift into different timelines, quantum leaping, quantum jumping, quantum mechanics. But we're also talking about like string theory. I mean, this goes into a lot. Like religion, science is a baby of spirituality. So whether we're talking about protons, neutrons, and electrons being vibes and energy, or whether we're talking about, I don't know, quantum mechanics or string theory, you guys call it what? The law of everything. We call it the law of one. But we're going to leave that and we're going to jump right into another part of spirit science, but I gave it its own category: astrology and astronomy. this is where it gets crazy, y'all, because there's different charts that you can study. There's different charts based off of different times, based off of different cultures, different parts of the world, who's popular right now, who's popping right now. So it gets convoluted. That's why I had to give it like a whole section. Number 3, astrology and astronomy. Now, this is the study of the stars. This is the study of planetary. Let's just let Google say what it is, because it's not planetary. It's constellations. It's everything. What's the difference between astrology and astronomy?
Astronomy is the scientific study of the universe using physics and math, focusing on understanding celestial objects. Astrology, on the other hand, is a belief
I'll just read it to you. Astronomy is the science studying celestial objects and the universe using physics and math, focusing on what they are and how they work, while astrology is a belief system, divination practice claiming. See, the wording just pisses me off, Google. You're pissing me off already. Belief system, because anyway, it's all belief. Are we in the stars to tell you what the stars are? No, therefore it's a belief. It's a belief system / divination practice claiming celestial positions influence human lives and earthly events using ancient traditions rather than scientific evidence. Now, I also that last part I caught, rather than scientific evidence. All science has come from ancient tribes. Most of what science knows about the stars has come from, famously, the Dogon tribe, which is an ancient tribe that would tell events on Earth based off of what they said their star families was telling them, and they had like the drawings all along the walls. So I will tell you this: Western culture, colonizers have this really gaslighting way of taking someone else's culture, rewording it, renaming it, and then shitting on what they just took. It's interesting. It's interesting because these same people have had radical claims about how poor and broke and nasty Africa is, meanwhile having all their artifacts in their museums telling you how amazing and wonderful these artifacts are that they founded. But that's another story. All right, so astrology, astronomy. So this sect of spirituality is huge. You can find it everywhere. There are books, there are lots of professionals, there are lots of ancient teachings that you can study. You can also just go to YouTube. There are a lot of people who teach you how to read the stars. Now, the thing about that is astronomy has different charts. Again, with the time thing, again, with the time thing, there's like a tropical chart, and I forgot how many there's different charts. So depending on what belief system you are following, you're going to look at different charts of what the sky looks like. NASA has recognized, I believe it's 88 constellations, but only 12 of those constellations made it gang into astrology. I'm not sure why. I wanted to study why. Why did the Aquarius get its own month and characteristics, but Cryon didn't? The Vesca Pisces didn't. You know what I'm saying? What are some of these other ones? They have fascinating names. I did do past, present, code, and every time I would have a project, I would name it after one of the constellations. But anyways, that's just my little story. But anyway, so astronomy is the study of the stars. It is more scientific. I have a really hard time talking about this subject because my belief on what we're actually looking at when we look up has changed. I don't know what I believe anymore. It's the more that rabbit hole goes deep, y'all, the more you learn, the more you understand that you don't know shit. I'm not sure what we're looking at when we look at the stars, but it is daggone beautiful, and it sees you as beautiful too. And then NASA, I don't mean to roll my eyes, but as an astronaut, if the constellations haven't changed, I feel like you have a leg up on what's going on. So to still tell me you don't know is insane. And then, let me just get this out, and then we're going to keep going. And then, you know how they're like, oh, this star is 100,000 light years away, and the Earth is this hot. We measured it with this instrument. I'm like, are we all stupid? Oh, guys, are we this stupid? How do you know that that's the temperature of the Earth? How do you know that that star is that many light years away? Are we up in the stars? No, we're not. Not only that, we don't know if your instrument works. We don't know how you tested it. We don't even know what is it called? When you have to have some type of base to test it with. We don't know what you used. You don't even know what you used. Does God use Fahrenheit or Celsius? Look, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't know how. You're shitting us right now. But because we don't have anything else to go on, I guess we'll have to take it. So that's what astronomy is. It's a study of the star systems. It's a study of celestial objects. It's a study of everything that's going on up there. And then astrology is telling you what these things have to do with you. So astrology is Mercury's in retrograde, Cryon is the healer, all that good stuff. This is the thing, and I love it. I don't know why they keep adding and taking away planets. Pluto, you're still a planet to me, Pluto. And Neptune. There's like 8 planets now or something. I digress. You can go to any type of professional and people talk about astrology and astronomy all day. YouTube is a huge world full of astrology and astronomers. They will tell you about the different houses, and they talk to you about your natal chart and how you can break down your natal chart. And you can do it yourself, or you can just there's apps where you can put in like your birthday, things like that, and learn your natal chart or your birth chart. There's different charts. There's different charts, and there's different astronomy charts as well that you would look at the sky with. There's different charts because there's different times, because there's different rulers across different spaces. Nobody gets along, apparently. Astrology, astronomy. Yes, this plays into tarot reading. It doesn't have to, but it does. I respect it. I respect it big time, so we're not going to talk about it today. Tarot is another thing that's different throughout time and throughout land. But when it comes to astrology and astronomy, the cards connect. Different cards with different symbols connect with different planets and different zodiac signs, and have different characteristics and have different meanings and have different celestial beings. And all these things, when you pull up a card, mixed with your intuition and whatever spirits you're talking to, talk to you through all this. So so tarot readers should know what's going on in the sky, because the cards connect everything together and they put it all together, and it's a beautiful thing. This is a huge topic, and I'm really just trying to be general with it. Astrology is something that people get in. Oh, I do want to say that astrology specifically in our Western culture is something that people get into during their teenage years. Not just that, but your life path number, numerology, all that stuff. But we get into it in a way that makes it so bubblegummy. Like, I don't know if you guys remember when the magazines were everywhere and you could go to the back of the magazine and read what would happen if you were a Capricorn or if you were whatever. And I actually did astrology as my senior project. But the reason why astrology is so controversial is because it's watered down. You can't look at someone's birthday and say this is how they are. That's why it's better to have their whole natal chart, because you are all the signs. You are everything, baby. It's just where are you what in? You see what I'm saying? Different houses, different personalities. Another thing, 2 more things. The strengths and weaknesses of your sun sign. That's what most Western cultures look at. Sun, moon, rising. The strengths and weaknesses don't define you. They just are characteristics about you. And the weaknesses are things that you, I don't want to say have come to overcome, but your weaknesses of that sign. So like they say, Pisces are too emotional. That's not telling you who you are. That's just maybe something that you can work on. You see what I'm saying? Like these are things that you can overcome if you see it as a bad thing. So I just want to put that out there. Another thing is there are different types of astrology based off of culture. For example, there's Chinese astrology. In Chinese astrology, when you look at the different astrologies based off of different culture, please take into account when their year starts and when their year stops. There's like 32 calendar systems. Okay. And the Gregorian calendar system, which is the one that we use and the one that we made popular throughout the world, is one of the youngest calendar systems. So for example, with the Chinese numerology or with Chinese astrology, if you look at it from an American perspective, if I was born in 1987, that would make me a rabbit. But the Chinese calendar for astrology starts in February. So if you are a January baby, depending on when the new year is, because the new year is not the same day, but it's always around the end of January, February, the beginning of February. So if you're a January baby, you're actually a year before. So I'm not no damn rabbit. I'm a tiger. I'm a tiger. I've been telling y'all this my whole life, and then I found it. I was like, some I put on the screen, whatever. But that's just something to take into account. Different astrology, different cultures with different astrology also have different timelines, different calendar systems, which is another interesting thing. Actually, that plays into my next one. Historian / theology. Yeah, this is actually a really good one because there's all these topics intertwine. But when you start studying history, not his story, but when you start studying the past record of events, especially when you put it up against history, and you're looking at the maps and you're looking at all these different things, you understand that there has been a purposeful plan to separate and confuse the people. This is going to play into politics, and I'm telling you right now, if you are a historian or a theologist, you will be becoming a conspiracy theorist, because there's no way that you can learn about all this and still look at what's going on now and being like, oh yeah, that's the truth. So there has been a lot going on in our land. For example, they say that when you look at a map, you're not really looking at the earth. What you're looking at is a map of masters and what territories they own. And that map has always changed throughout time, and specifically whenever there's a war. For example, I have a friend. I talk about this girl a lot. I had to text her the other day. She's Turkish. And she came to America as a teenager. She caught on to urban culture, she loves melanin, right? But she's always saying stuff like, life started in Turkey and Turkish people are God, the true God's people, God's true people, and da 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 da. And everybody likes to roll their eyes at her, right? And I'm like, no, we don't have to roll our eyes at her, because if you study history and theology, you'd understand that once upon a time, not long ago, Turkey was a part of Africa. I need to find my phone so I can fact check these things that I'm telling y'all. Hold on. The subject would be how war, spirituality, and power reshapes the map from a historian's view. Again, maps are political documents. They're not neutral. They change every time power changes. Borders shift because empires expand or collapse. Colonizers redraw lines. Wars redistribute land. Revolutions break nations apart. And international agreements rename entire regions. I'm not going to read this whole thing, but when a map changes, the story of a people changes, and so do their religious identities, their mythologies, their sacred lands, and we'll add also the color of their skins changes a lot, and the way future generations interpret history. This is why spirituality, theology, geography, and politics are always intertwined, baby. So how did the Middle East become the Middle East? So the Middle East term did not exist until it was coined by the British and the American strategists. They're called British and American strategists, which is so funny because I didn't hear Africa or Asia and any of that. So it's like people who are far away and don't look like you are telling you who you are and what you are. And that's exactly what they did with the Americas. It wasn't called America, and it wasn't founded by Christopher Columbus. There's already people living on it, lots of people, and they already had their own ecosystems and buildings and pyramids. But you came, you renamed the people, you renamed the land, you won the battle. So I guess you got to do that. But so before they were Middle Easterns, they were North Africans. North Africa was simply Africa. The Arabian Peninsula was Arabia. Mesopotamia, which is now Iraq, was part of various empires. Persia, which is now Iran, stood alone as its own empire. Anatolia, which is Turkey, was part of the Ottoman Empire, spanning 3 continents. And Levant, referring to areas like modern Lebanon, Syria, Israel, Palestine, and Jordan. None of these were called the Middle East. So this was mainly the continent of Africa, Asia, and maybe a little bit of Europe on here. I'm not sure. This is something that you should be asking yourself. How the Middle East became the Middle East. Who named the Middle East the Middle East? What time frame did it happen? And what was going on with these countries around those times? And what were they a part of? This is historians. This is your theologists looking at different religions. How do these religions form? They go really into Christianity, studying how, not just being a Christian, but studying how Christianity came about. A big thing that a lot of people talk about is how Christianity predates slavery. Well, there's different types of Christianity. One, there's like 32 denominations. That's just a big number. Again, you have to know history and geography and even theology. But if you look at the past, you would understand that Turkey was once a part of Africa. It's the land. It was the play on words. It's the wars that spread all these that changed where different things were. There was this book that I was looking at for a year and never bought because I was too busy looking at Behold the Pale Horse. But the book was talking about how war changes landlines, and it was showing the different landlines that have changed at that time. And again, that's so important because your history books will try to tell you that this is here and this is with this and these people are from here. And then if you actually go far enough back, you realize it's a play on words and it's a play on people's emotions, because you see what I'm saying? Because of the story, like I said, with my friend with Turkey in the Middle East. Another example of historian and geography being so important to spirituality would be the Spanish Inquisition. You have so many people. So I'm super duper into the Spanish Inquisition. If you watch my channel, you know that already. I want to do a deep dive on it, but it upsets me. And I haven't done the work to not be upset about it. But when I'm not upset about it, I do a deep dive. Because people, when you're in school, when I was in school, I learned that the Spanish Inquisition was a religious war. And while it was also a war on women and a war on anything melanated. They traveled literally the world. It was a 300-year acquisition. This shit spanned lifetimes. You had to get the next buddy on board of it. You know what I'm saying? Crazy how that works. Traveling the world and burning anything that made you think that this place had black people, which black people wasn't a term back then. I told you, to me, it's a franchise word. It's really an American word for dark-skinned people in America. And that's why so many people will say I'm not black, because it also has like legal implications. We talked about that with was it Roe versus Wade case? Roe versus Wade. That's not right. What is Dred Scott? What was the court case about the black man who went to court up north to fight for his freedom? Dred Scott versus Sanford case. That's the case where we talked about what it meant legally to be black or to be an African American, and why you don't want to identify as those things. But culturally, it's cool because I'm black and I'm proud. Anyways, so when they traveled the world bringing these artifacts and going to war with people. That when I say they traveled the world, they went around, baby. They went around burning shit. Extremely intelligent, extremely evil, extremely intelligent though. And you're not going to understand how, I guess, spirituality even works if you don't know these things. Because along with burning artifacts of melanin, they were burning artifacts of voodoo, hoodoo, there's a lot of religions that are African based that were deemed demonic. And since, especially in our Western culture, there are so many people that know so little about voodoo, hoodoo, and all these other different religions. They'd rather tell you that it's demonic and evil. But all these things like the voodoo dolls, why are they even called voodoo dolls? Because voodoo doesn't have those dolls. That didn't come from voodoo. Most of these, I'm getting ahead of myself because I want to talk about this when I talk about nature religions, like witchcraft. So we're going to stop that. But what I'm saying is you would not know any of this, and you wouldn't know. There's so much that how am I going to say this? Without the study of history and the study of geography, there's a lot that you're missing out. I'm also going to take this time to confess. These are my confessions. I have a confession. I might have said this before, so maybe it's not a confession. One of my greatest, should I wait? Well, this actually leads into conspiracy theorists. So I'm going to confess this and we're going to go on to conspiracy theory. As a teenager, I used to astral project a lot. You guys know this is not a secret. One of the places that I used to go, I used to frequent this place as much as I frequented New York, is this area of the map that I could never find on the map when I woke up. I would talk to these people. I would be in these areas and they were different. It would be a desert one time, then it would be this ice oasis that wasn't cold, so I didn't understand why things were even frozen in the first place in another travel. But the people used to always say, we're not on your maps. We know about you guys, but you don't know about us. That's what they used to say. And it always stuck in my head because I'm like, oh, there's people out there. Like, that's what made it real to me is they said it clear as day. We know about you guys, but you don't know about us. We're not on your maps. But it was this different part of the world. And now, not even now, because this has been going on for decades, there is this conspiracy theory, and they even started showing the maps. I'm going to post it. I'm going to find it and post it for you. Of a whole bunch of land that has nothing to do with the maps that we've seen, that we don't even have access to because of like the ice wall, this ice wall conspiracy theory. It really gives me Chicken Run feels. And no, I didn't see that movie. There's a lot of movies I talk about that I've never seen. But from my understanding, Chicken Run is a movie about a chicken who realizes that the world that he lives in is actually a farm and they're all being used for their energy. They're all being sourced. They're all victims. They're all slaves. They're all prisoners of war. So when they say that a map isn't neutral, it's actually it's a territory. It's for the masters dividing up their territory, and there's land that we don't even have access to. It sounds like we are literally in a prison. Let's get into it. Conspiracy theorists. There's a lot of conspiracy theorists that swear up and down that they are not spiritual, that's woo-woo, and they don't care about that stuff. There's no way that you can be a conspiracy theorist and stay out of the spiritual game. Now, do I deem myself as a conspiracy theorist? I don't know. I really don't even know if that's a word, to be honest with you. A conspiracy theorist is really just someone who doesn't fall for a popular narrative, but rather does their own research and finds out what they feel is true for them. The term was coined through the JFK assassination. A lot of people did not believe that JFK died the way that the media, the news, the government said that he died. But it spans even before him with what happened to Lincoln and all that stuff. And it goes on even to now where this whole Charlie Kirk thing is, and president of France and his wife. Like it spans, but I'm not even talking about political conspiracy theories. I'm talking about all of them. I'm talking about, like, the biggest one that people want to talk about is this flat earth thing, but I promise you, that's not even real. That is a conspiracy to make everybody look stupid. Now, I will tell you, and this is big and this is known, that information is sourced or leaked out into the public that is false on purpose. They do it on purpose. Now, what would be the purpose? I always tell you guys, ask what would be the why? What would be the reason? What would be the purpose? Because one, it's something that you can't prove, the same way you can't prove what these stars in the sky are. So it's an ongoing battle because you're never going to be able to prove it. You know what I'm saying? And two, it makes people look dumb. And then if you say, well, that's conspiracy theorists, it now makes everything else that they look at that they say is not true look dumb too. So it's a way to make people look stupid and embarrassed. Because you're never going to reprove it. And who cares what shape the earth is? I still got to go to work. I still got shit to do. So it doesn't matter to me. And I don't play in that one. However, the ice wall, that is one, that is a hill I will die on. And if there's anything that I get to do before I die, even if it's through astral projecting, I want to see this wall. I want to see this wall. But some other popular ones, I don't want to talk about them because a lot of them are scary. But there's ones, and this would play into otherworldly beliefs. But you know, they have the conspiracy theory about Bigfoot, but there's other animals that they have. Animals. I don't even know if they're called animals. We'll call them shapeshifters, but they're otherworldly beings. There's a lot of conspiracy theories about them. Conspiracy theories about them. There are conspiracy theories about everything. The ocean and what's above us and what's below us. And I'm telling you, I caught on to that earlier, way early, because so the theory, there's one theory is, and I'm sorry if I sound like I'm all over the place, I'm having a conversation today. It just is what it is. I'll get better as I post more videos. Like, I'm practicing, right? So the theory is that there's no such thing as outer space, that we are surrounded by water. And the Christians will be like, duh, it's right here in the Bible, but it doesn't say that per se. Oh, I forgot to talk about Enoch. Okay, we'll get there. This is good. This is why I love sitting down with you guys and just talking. The Bible says it in so many words, but if you think about astronauts, when they're practicing to go to outer space, they practice in the water, and it moves with the same consistency. And let me stop playing. It moves with the same consistency, and y'all know I'm goofy, and you still can't breathe it in. So who's to say that it's not dense air up there? It's actually water, right? It's just a theory. We don't know. But there's conspiracy theories about what's going on in the ocean and the animals that are down there. There's conspiracy theories about the Titanic and how it sank. And was it the Titanic, or was it actually another boat that another ship, and they just said it was the Titanic, and who was on the ship and what their financial contributions to this country would have been had they been alive. There's conspiracy theories about how this world became. There's conspiracy theories about where Black people in America come from. Are they originally here? Are they from Africa? And the thing about conspiracy theories is they always turn out right. But nobody talks about that. Because you know what we haven't done? We haven't talked about the stuff that's happened during 2020. Everyone just sweeps it under the rug. Even though the CDC every day, including last week, keeps going back and redefining the stuff that they said during 2020. Y'all, it was only 5 years ago. The ability for Americans to just forget is insane, because I didn't forget. But if people forget, it's like we don't care. It's like you don't care. So that now in another couple of years you could be again. It's weird. But I love conspiracy theories. I think it's very entertaining. It's interesting. It's fun to see people think. And it's fun to see people disagree in a loving, beautiful way. My guy, I'll just go into this huge intellectual, like this. And he'll be looking at me with so much in his eyes. And then when I'm done, he's like, I completely disagree with everything you just said. And it's the funniest thing. It's funny because you're supposed to disagree. How boring would the world be if there was one narrative and everyone just was like, yes, master, that's the truth. Especially since we know that most of it is not even true. And I love that the world's catching on. That's the age of Aquarius. I told you guys in that video about the age of Aquarius that this is the time for all the bullshit it's all coming to fruition. You know, like you're married to somebody for like all these years, or you know somebody for like all these years, and then one day you just find out that something that happened 10 years ago was some bullshit, and it's like this little trail of lies. That's what we're going through. So go ahead and take your wedding ring off, America, because we're finding out the truth. We're finding out the truth. All right, so conspiracy theories. A conspiracy theorist is another form of spirituality. A lot of conspiracy theorists do not see themselves that way, but you are. Welcome to the club. My next topic, I don't know what this is. 1, 2, 3, 6. Anime / cosplay. We're gonna be quick with this one, okay? If you don't know what anime is, it's a genre of entertainment. We'll call it that because it's shows, but it's also there's a community of people who are dressing up as these characters. They're very committed to the trade, and it's actually multi-million-dollar industry, if not more. It's probably more. It's probably more. But if you actually look into a lot of these anime shows, these cartoons, how dare I call it a cartoon? I'm sorry. These shows, most of them are their storyline is spiritual, like The Last Airbender, or what's that movie with the black Japanese guy? Spiritual anime explore themes like spirits, gods, afterlife, and deep philosophy, with popular examples including this up. Mushishi. Can you tell I don't watch it? Nasumi's Book of Friends, and sorry guys, Noragami for Japanese folklore gods, Jujutsu Kaisen, I know that word, and Mob Psycho 100 for modern spirit battles. Fundamental Alchemists, Brotherhood for deep humanistic themes. Monoku for traditional horror, and Devilman Crybaby for dark spiritual commentary. Other great choices are The Ancient Magus Bride, To Your Eternity, Hebane, Renmi, and Shaman King. And none of these, so it actually really goes into this. Look, so first of all, this is Google again. Google, you pissed me off earlier, but you're redeeming yourself right now. Don't look at my phone, y'all. Just look at what I'm trying to show you. So, and it's an Android. You gotta unfollow, do you? Because guess who makes your Apple products? All right. Let's get it. All right, now watch this. I know this is backwards, but folklore gods, right? So it goes over the shows, dark themes, and philosophical. I mean, there's all these shows. This goes, y'all. This goes. Other noteworthy titles. I don't see The Last Airbender in any of these things, and that's the only one I know, okay? But I'm gonna tell you what I will do. 2026, I'm gonna sit down. And not only am I going to have a favorite anime show, but I'm going to dress up because I love cosplay. I have little fairy ears from the Fall Kingdom, but I don't do it. But I want to do it. Want to be so cute? Dressed up as an immortal being that learns about life, death, and humanity through various forms. Oh, it would be so cute. Anyways, so my whole thing with anime and cosplay is, yes, while a lot of the shows are spiritually inclined, they also make you think. Anything that makes you think is going to turn you into a spirit, guys. It's going to make you spiritual. So anime, cosplay, that's definitely on the list. Number 7. Black spirituality. And this is a real thing, you know. So in the spiritual group, you know how I said you have Lightworkers, where you have a whole section. It is a whole money-making tree of people who are into Black spirituality. You can go on YouTube and look it up. I hate to even call it that because we'll say African spirituality. But these are people that it's mixed with historians in geography. They have, after doing the research of how life worked and learning about Yaqub and the Israelites, and is it Yaqub? Yeah, and the Israelites and what was going on in the mountains of Russia. And I mean, there's a lot, right? But it's not just that. It's also African spirituality, like Ogun, Chango, Yemaya. Oh my gosh, there's like 72 Neteru. There's all these Neteru, which are the Egyptian gods or the Cometian gods, right? And there's 32, but I think it was 74 once they doubled it, because when Egypt split in half, people were worshiping the same gods but with different names. And this is what's happened all over. But then you have like the Orishas, and people are huge into the Orishas. Then you have other African religions and spirituality. I think the greatest part about Africa, and I've never been there, but I will, don't worry, I'm like all over. I can name at least 35 of the 54 countries in Africa, so don't play me. I love my Africa. But, not saying that we're from there, but I just love it. It's motherland. We're all from Africa. I hang out with a lot of Africans, Nigerians, Cameroon. Shout out to you, Cameroon. Senegal, Eritreans, Ethiopians, and my beautiful Lima from Mali. And it doesn't matter who you talk to, they all say all these things about there's a lot of what we would call witchcraft going on in Africa. I believe it was Neuroknowledge that was talking about how there are people that you pay. If you're having a big event and you need it to not rain that day, you pay someone and they do magic, they do their work, and all of a sudden it will not rain. I wish America was more like that. I don't know if America could handle it, because the reason they banned all these things was because other people were more powerful than other people. And so they decided to do away with that. But if you look into Black spirituality, you will learn things like it was certain gods and goddesses, or certain practices that actually ended slavery here in America. And it's so crazy because the colonizer wants to gaslight you and be like, yeah, we just felt like not beating you guys anymore. We just thought we'd be nice. But really, if you look at it, it was a mix between all the different independent Black groups that were fighting here in America, like this is embarrassing. What's the name? It starts with that S. They're in Florida. Anyway, there's a whole bunch of indigenous Indian groups that worked with Mexico and other different regions and were fighting up to the last second to end slavery. But there was also a lot of witchcraft going on. So we all know about Haiti. Haiti. Whoa. We all know about the Haitian and French situation. But there's a lot of witchcraft going on in these things. Now, I don't know what's going on today, because I feel like, if we can do it then, we can do it now, you guys. But I think part of that is just everything being watered down and a lot of things being forgotten, which was what? Spanish Inquisition. If you fall into Black spirituality, though, I will tell you now, you're not going to learn just about Black spirituality. You're going to learn, I could tell you so much about Indian, Hindi gods. I could tell you a lot about different practices all over the world, because in Black spirituality, one thing that it talks about that you learn about, should you want to, is the Black influence in Asia, how those dynasties went with the Black Asians, the Black Japanese. You learn about the Black influence in all of the world, basically, y'all. We don't have to keep doing this. It's all over the world. The influence was everywhere. And that's that. Let's talk about, I want to say witches, but it's not just witchcraft. It's all different types of those nature spirits. So one thing that religion is super duper scared of is witches. I'm gonna let you know right now, the term witch is a European term, and it is the youngest form of practice in that area. I've already talked about different, there's so many different. Okay, this is a long list. So when I say witchcraft itself, oh gosh, okay. I'm gonna try to keep this like chronological, but I'm not going to, so let's just stop trying. Witchcraft, in things that are called witchcraft, I'm going to put a list of different forms of what you guys are calling witchcraft. Witchcraft, like I said, is the youngest form of what you guys are calling evil, and it's European driven. But there are so many different demonic practices, and I'm going to list them all over the world. You should feel foolish because the normal witch, she just wants to plant a garden. She wants to heal her body with herbs. She wants to live freely. She wants to live sovereign. She wants to be sovereign. And she loves animals, and she loves plants, and she's cool with the earth. Now, there are a lot of people, a lot of girls, a lot of men who get into witchcraft or warlock energy because someone did them dirty and they want to get back at them. Is there that type of witchcraft? Of course there is. It's there. It's definitely there. But it's there with everything. It's there with everything. And it's so interesting because it's not called witchcraft when you've got hundreds of candles lit in a church. But when you're lighting a candle in your home, it's a seance, and all of a sudden you're going to hell. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. Most of not only witchcraft, but the religions that were deemed demonic, specifically the Black ones, have nothing to do with demons or the devil, but rather, like spirituality, they understand that it exists. They understand that everything does. It's the yin and yang. And they understand that to fully overcome evil, you have to not run from it or avoid it, which is what religion does. They hate the devil. They avoid him. They don't want to talk about him. They talk shit about him other than that. I forgot what YouTube video it was. It was some lady talking about how people always want a damn witchcraft, but witches aren't the ones fucking the world up. Nor was the devil the one killing everybody in the Bible. It wasn't like the comparison between how many people the devil killed versus God is crazy. And I have to be very clear because I am not against Jehovah at all. He's a friend of mine. I'm more so wanting, when I say things like that, I'm more so wanting you guys to understand that we have been lied to about the construct of how things work. So it's not that this being is bad or this being is bad. We don't understand the mechanics of how all of this works. So you deem this situation as bad and this person is bad, but that's actually, you're being lied to about the whole fucking story. Or misled. I don't want to say lie. We have trust issues. We're working on them. Anyways. I have grown my clientele with my real life work has really grown. And the one thing that I've noticed is a lot of people have really broken out into spirituality and even specifically witchcraft. One of my clients last week, she was a lawyer, but you couldn't tell when you walked into her house. Her cat was named Perry Mason, so I should have known. But everything in her house was Gaelic witch. Everything in her house, it was straight out of Wizard of Oz. Her style was horrible. I should say that. Her style was questionable, but it was all witchcraft. And I'm telling you, she uses witchcraft to help her with her cases. I ain't mad at you, girl. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to do that. You're supposed to use the laws of the universe to to manipulate your everyday life. That's exactly what a creator God is. That's what you're supposed to do. Why would you not do it? Especially how unfair the game is. You're supposed to use your higher powers. Y'all are crazy when you say that that's wrong or something's wrong with it. No, you're supposed to. You better. They are. We have now fallen into the number 9 topic, the left-hand path. You should now be scared. Remember all those things I was saying about, oh, we don't understand demons. We don't understand. Once you get into the left-hand path, all the demons are coming out. This is where they live. So first of all, I am a member of the left-hand path. So let's talk about this. Remember when I was saying Lightworker? The left-hand path, okay. I don't know if I said this, but when you are a right-hand pather or a Lightworker, your belief and your work with spirituality is for peace for everyone. This is your hero in a movie. When you're a left-hand pather or dark worker, you're not against the world, but your plight, your vision is for yourself, and your vision is for the people that you love. This is the villain. He only cares about himself. He only cares about his people. He cares about his woman. There's nothing wrong with this. There's nothing wrong with either of it. The left-hand path is going to be selfish, but someone who is a left-hand pather understands that if everyone focused on themselves, this world would be a much better place. Because again, the left-hand pather, the true left-hand pather, not being a villain, isn't against anybody. They just mind their business and stay in their circle. That's what that's about. But there's more to it than that. It's very occultish. Should I have just put occult and the left-hand path in the same category? Sure, fine, let's do that. So the occult is, as you guys may or may not know, it is a study of it's a gang of secret societies that talk about things that they believe the masses can't handle. There are religions, and I should totally add this. There are religions that are widely known, widely used, and widely loved, but then there are secret groups that have alternate. Then there are secret groups that do their thing. And they do it based off of, what is it? There's esoteric and... Okay, so in the terms, this world is ran on 2 terms. Esoteric and exoteric. Exoteric is public, outer, common, mainstream knowledge. That's your regular religions. That's your religions. That's Christianity. That's Muslim. That's Hindu. That's your regular religions. And there's 5,000 of those. And then you have esoteric, which is inner, hidden, secret, initiated knowledge. As in, it's not going to be taught to you in school. You got to go find that bitch. And that is what occults are run off of. They are societies that study the secret knowledge that you have to go get, like the Cabal. They talk about the laws of the universe. They talk about the laws of other universes. This gets really, really deep. There are famous people who have taken esoteric knowledge and occult knowledge and made it seem like it was gloom, doom, and scary. What's the guy's name? Stephen King. Every group has their vigilantes that fuck it up for the group, but you see what I'm saying? Stephen King was one of them. But he was Aleister Crowley. That's who I'm trying to say. So if you start looking at Aleister Crowley from a conspiracy theorist standpoint, you're looking at occult knowledge like it's so scary. But these were the outliers that we didn't with, okay? We don't know them. We are more into like Jesus Christ. Yeah, Christians, y'all don't own. I don't know why. I feel like Christianity took Jesus and like, what's it called? They copyrighted him. They like try to say they own Jesus, but Jesus was an occultist. I said this before. Jesus was a Necronomicon. If you look at the true definition, not Google's lying ass, but the true definition of a Necronomicon, it's someone who played with energy, and that's what the occult does. Energy, earth, heart, plasma, heart. emotions, heart, melanin, heart. And then you know what the other ones are. So when he turned water into wine, when he was able to control the conditions of the weather, when he was able to heal people, that's necromancy. But what really did it was when he brought those people back from the dead. That is necromancy 101. You can't tell me that's not necromancy. Sorry. Now, all this other stuff about demons, they added that stuff. Y'all, the haters want to hate, and they said a lot of hateful things. But Jesus was a Necronomicon. I've said this before. You guys already know how I feel about this. And if you look at the true definition, sure. There is also another definition of Necronomicon. There's a story in the occult about a parallel reality that's right on top of ours, right? Because everything is happening at the same time in the same place. And that these are like beasts or demons that are sleeping. And one day they'll wake up and it'll be hell to pay. But aren't we not? Is that not us? Sounds like me. There's one other thing I was going to say. And yes, there are those scary outliers in these occult stories. I don't want to say their names because I don't know all about them yet. And I have summoned some things. Pretty freaking cool. So I'm going to chill out on that. I need to know more before I put myself out there. But the left-hand path is for someone who is curious about life and is curious about the dark side. I'd say, a lot of us have gone through the dark night of the soul. We've been to hell, and we want to like a tour now since we feel like we've overcome it. And it's not about embracing evil. It's about, like I said earlier, it's about understanding to overcome it is to not be afraid of it. It's like, this is mean. It's like that little ugly boy in the corner that you like avoided, and then you realize, I can't avoid him. I need to include him, and I need to love him genuinely. So you start asking him questions and like learning him, and then you realize that his face has nothing to do with his heart. And I was judging the whole time. So I think I said it's another video about demons, is they're scary for a reason. They're shapeshifters, but they're gatekeepers. And they're non-physical beings. So if you walk up to the gate, they can't knock your ass out. They have to scare you a different way. They have to keep you away. And they do that through their looks. And the people who run obviously aren't ready for the knowledge or for whatever that Stargate was going to be. But their look, their shape-shifting is what keeps you away. So they're not actually bad. They're just exclusive. I like that. Which will lead me to otherworldly beliefs. Number 10, I believe that this is. There are lots of people who believe in different groups of beings. I mean, we could be talking about the Dracos, the Quasiquatl, the dragons. And y'all, I'm telling you, the stories about dragons around this world is crazy. But they are conspiracy theories for a reason. But I'm also talking about, I don't want to say their names. You know how I'm going to paint the picture and you guys will know what I'm talking about. The conspiracy theorists will. You know those stories about people in native mountains or the woods, and then they start telling stories about things that happen, hearing babies cry, weird shit like that. That's what I'm talking about. Those beings. But then also, so those are beings that are physical here on Earth, that are otherworldly. We have not been able to identify them. Pair that on top of all the genetically modified versions of animals because of all the testing. And I don't remember the name of the island, but there's been whistleblowers that are talking about different species that they have created and then just let loose because they don't know what to do with them. So there's all these weird ass creatures. I saw something outside of my house like a month ago. It was dark. It was black. I don't know what it was. And hey, we're safe though. We're safe. On Jesus. So we're safe. But they're out here, if you believe. But I'm not just talking about them. I'm talking about the ones that are non-physical, such as Okay, let's back up. We're talking about the ones on the other side of the ice wall, the giants that everyone talks about. What do they call them in the Bible? The Nephilim. We're also talking about other planetary beings, the Greys, Anunnaki, Pleiadians, Lyra? I should know this. I told you guys I'm out of practice. There's all these different, hundreds of thousands. I told you there's at least 88 constellations. So there's a lot of different groups of beings. Martians, if that's a thing. I don't think that's a thing. I think the Martians are now here. But anyway, according to spirit science anyway. There's different groups of beings. But then you also have different spiritual groups of beings, right? Like is it called there's a group of beings that are tied to your goads. Is that the word I'm getting? They're tied to your spine. 72 vertebrae. How many vertebrae? I think they're called goads. There's all these different groups, spiritual groups. Like I said, the Necronomicon. The goad? I can't think of the name, and I'm not about to do it. If I see it, I'll put it on this. There you go. Y'all gotta start looking at the screen. I know we want to drive and do other things because I do long form content, but I do put a lot of stuff on the screen, especially when I'm editing and I want to reframe something that I said. So don't forget to look at the screen. But there's different spiritual groups. I don't know why I'm like blanking on this shit. It is late at night. It's not late at night. It's 7:55. It just seems like it's late. My point is, this is spiritually inclined one because where the fuck are they? So obviously it's spiritual. But they are here, if you believe. I should have said that first. That disclaimer is coming at the end. A lot of spirituality is outside of your senses. There's nothing to prove it but your knowing. But there are a lot of different beings, different star systems, different groups of people that people say are connected to humans. We have their DNA, we have their lineage, and there are people that are stuck on studying these different groups. And I'm not gonna lie, it's very intriguing, very interesting, and I really enjoy it myself. I'm just saying that's another part of spirituality. We're gonna breeze by that and go into, I don't know why I made law of attraction, law of assumption its own group. It is a huge community that affects millions of people over decades. And at the same time, these people will have nothing else to do with spirituality. Like they don't believe in spirits and things like that, but they do believe in law of assumption or law of attraction. Law of attraction is the belief that you attract what you want to you. It's kind of played out to me though. And then I don't even know. So first of all, I should have said that it's this whole Western colonizer thing that they take old systems and give them new names. So these aren't actually laws of the universe. They're just subcategories that people put together and gave you rules for, but they're not actual laws of the universe. But law of attraction is you get what you attract. Law of assumption is you get what you assume. I'm actually huge on the law of assumption, but really more so of self-concept and what you are saying about who you are in your life and seeing that reflected. So it's like thought transmission, and that's a whole nother video. There are people who swear by these laws, and I'm not gonna lie, I might be one of them. But it is a huge part of spirituality because a lot of it is really teaching you to trust yourself and to know yourself and to work on yourself. This is very mindful mindset stuff. And of course, we know everything in the mind is spirit. I've already talked about occult, so I'm going to talk about religion, especially since I talked about esoteric and exoteric. Religion is an exoteric, as I said, form of spirituality. It is what the masses will learn. It is what you will learn if you don't ask questions. It is what your belief will be. I'm not a big fan of religion. I respect it because, like I said, it's all spirituality. You can open up the Bible and do a whole spiritual lesson. And most people who want to prove that Christianity is out, I want to say this in a respectful way because there's no reason to be disrespectful. most people who believe that Christianity misses the mark, they will prove to you through the Bible. They'll use the Bible to show you how all this is missing the mark. And they do that on purpose because they're trying to teach you through your teachings, but they're also trying to show you how spirituality started all this shit. So it's like a double thing. But there are over 5,000 religions. And I want to be very clear. I'm not here to teach you not to be religious. Do you? I'm just giving out information. I do think that you can be religious and spiritual at the same time. There are a lot of Christian witches. There are a lot of people who believe in different systems. There are people who believe in different things, and it's okay. I don't really feel like there's one mold. I don't think that there should be people in groups. I think you do what you got to do, what's best for you, and I applaud it. I'm not here, like I said, you got to do what you got to believe. You got to do what you believe in. No one is going to live life through your vantage point, so you have to do what you believe in and protect yourself. What else I want to... This was so impromptu to even include religion. I just wanted to keep God's state as the 13th, so I had to pop something in. Religions are normally made... Okay, yep, here we go. Religions are created when they want to control the people. If you have not noticed, religion and politics move in tandem. And even if you look at what's going on now, a lot of political movements are reaching out to the church to tell their people in the church what they want them to know politically. There's nothing wrong with being in that box, but you are in a box. Every time you build a fence, you keep shit out, but you also keep yourself in. The point of moving from religion, which to me is a box, to spirituality, which is a bigger box, and a lot of groups in spirituality move just like religions do. That's my next point. But so they didn't change anything. It's the same mindset of separation from God and you. That's for the next topic. What was my point? Oh, as you move further out of that, the promise of protection goes from something outside of you protecting you to you protecting yourself. And I think a lot of people find that scary. But there's also a lot of empowerment in that, because that's when you start learning that God was always in you and never left you, and you were always powerful. I remember being a Christian. I remember learning about gods and God and all the spiritual stuff. I remember having conversations with spirit, with God, with whatever you want to call it, the universe. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, I don't want to go to hell. And it took me a long time to let go of that narrative. It's one of the scariest things to let go of, but this is what I will say. And again, I'm not telling anybody to let go of it, keep you. But this is what I will say. It was through repetition of what I was learning that made me feel comfortable to understand that I wasn't going to go to hell if I was true to myself. The concept of heaven and hell was a little faulty. And then that reminded me that it was also through repetition that I even had those beliefs in the first place. My belief in God came in when I was 3. They told me about God, and I thought it was the best thing. And then when I was 4, they started talking about Jesus, and I was like, wait a minute, y'all just told me that God is always with me, but I can't get to him without his son. Shit pissed me off, man. As a 4-year-old, I was like, this is a scam. It was a scam to me. I'm sorry, not trying to be disrespectful. There's ain't no way anybody comes between me and God. Ain't no way. I don't know why I ever thought that might even be a thing. And all these parameters and rules put on top of God's unconditional love. It ain't unconditional if there's rules on top of it, baby. I'm gonna tell you that. And ain't no parent putting their child in a fiery furnace for eternity. That's a long time, y'all. It's a long time. I've been talking for a long time. That's too long to put someone in a fiery furnace for. But anyways, my last thing, the 13 that I want to talk to you guys about is the God state. So that's what it's popularized as now, but it's really just the law of one. Well, there's 2 parts to God state. There's the law of one, the belief that everything is God. And the other one is the belief that this is where there's like all these senses that they don't talk about. And I've said this before in a video. They don't talk about teleportation, telekinesis, clairvoyant, clairaudient, clairsentient. There's like a whole bunch. But being that everything is one, these senses have to be also, because if me and this tree are one, then I should be able to have a belief about this tree, and that tree gets that same thought forms. So thought forms being, so this is a whole episode. Thought forms being forms that are in the air that everything has access to. This goes into like thought transmission. It's probably one of my favorite things to talk about, but I'm not going to talk about it right now. God's state is just believing that you are a creator. So they think that there's two ways to think about reality. You can be a reactor, which is the masses, people who just allow other people to control the narrative and they just respond. Or you can be a creator, someone who is a part of the creation in not only your worlds, but the worlds. Another form of God's state, another belief in God's state is an understanding that there are unlimited timelines and that you get to control what timeline you're living. And you can go back and forth. This is not something that's coming out of my ass, y'all. There are millions and millions and millions of people who understand this, or at least study it, and a lot of them are in the 1%. Most of them are in the 1%. God's state is not easy if you didn't grow up living that form of belief, because you're always accountable. That's what I was going to say, separation. You're always accountable for everything that happens to you and around you. I was talking about that when I was talking about hope. If you see it, if you hear about it, if you taste it, touch it, smell it, you are part of the creation of it, and you get to determine what it's going to be, not just by what you say and you do, but by how you perceive the situation. This was the whole good, bad, right, or wrong conversation that I've been having with you guys for lots of episodes. You can control anything, but you have to be neutral about it first, and then you have to see where the benefit is, and then you have to choose that timeline, and you have to choose it persistently, consistently, relentlessly. This is why being a creator, or the God concept, is harder than just being human who says they did this and it's their fault. You're actually taking responsibility. It's very powerful, but it can be very scary. But it's through repetition that you get better and better. And that's what I was going to say. Separation. That's the main part of this. There's a play in this world that everything is separate from you. You're separate from the tree, the chair, the table, this computer, with this air in between. You're separate, but you're not. We're not separate from it. It is all God expressing itself. Wouldn't you be lonely if you were sitting in a chair for eternity? Like you would make up games too. You would separate yourself too, especially if it meant finding yourself because you were never lost in the first place. It's a game, y'all. What would you do with all that time? Separation is an illusion. And the sooner that you can understand that God is not outside of you, that nothing is outside of you, the sooner that you will come into your power and start realizing all the wonderful things that you can do. This is actually why I talk about spirituality, because everybody wants to be holy, but nobody knows how to bring holy into everyday life. How am I going to be whole? Because it's not holy. Holy is religious. It's actually just whole. The whole spirit. It's not the holy HOLY spirit. It's the whole WHOLE spirit. And you are whole. You are complete. I gotta go because my battery's about to die. The point is, this is why I've always had this YouTube channel. This is actually what my YouTube channel is about. It's understanding that you are not separate from money. You are not separate from your problems. God likes to twerk too, girl. I don't. God invented perversion, and even the things that we don't want to talk about are the things that we think are evil, but it's all about perception, and it's all about the creative power that you have. Chocolate Cake 101 was started because I wanted to understand how being spiritual and God had everything to do with money, with having children, with this regular life that we call regular. That's why it's called chocolate cake, because it's a piece of cake and it's a lesson at the same time. But it's easy, but it's easy, but it's not simple. It's simple, but it's not easy. Anyways, that is the 13. And if you are spiritual and occult, you understand how special that was that I got to do that and make God's state the 13th, because that's exactly what Jesus Christ was. That's the cycle. So those are just some of the many forms of spirituality. There's more. Spirituality is very fun. I enjoy it very much. I don't know how I want to end this, because I got 10% left and I don't really want to walk up to the charger. I got 10% left on this device before it dies on us. There might be another part to this because I do want to talk about more stuff. And sometimes I feel like I was doing this conversation form and didn't really have it like, well, guys, we're just having a conversation. We're just chilling. It's late. It's early. It is what it is. I'm Shayla Jade. This is Chocolate Cake 101. Thank you for being here. Let me work on that self-concept. You loved this video. You enjoyed it. And you will be back. I'm Shayla Jade. Peace.